Opening slide, graphic, text, Introduction to Self-Management Part 5, Self-Management, Making It Work with Linda Hughes. Logos, Belonging Matters, NDIS, talksthatmatter.net.
Thanks so much for having me here today. And, one of the things in my introduction I forgot to mention is that I'm working on a similar, on an ILC project like DEB and Belonging Matters. It's a information linkages and capacity building project around self-management. And we'll have a website launching very, very shortly, hopefully next week, to assist self-managers. So I've been kind of a bit immersed in self-management, not only personally, but also in my work life as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my son, Jacob. He lives in his own home with a housemate. I live next door. So I still am very much in Jake's day-to-day life. He's a micro entrepreneur. So regular employment has been difficult for Jacob. So we sort of really looked at what his interests are, and he's got a new micro business called All Newcastle, and now All stands for accessible, live and local. It's taken a little bit of a turn at the moment just with COVID times. That's not actually something he can do at the moment, but he's still posting online events and things like that. Jake's a great party host and friend. He loves getting his friends and family together, and he often hosts what we call drinks on the deck. So that's everyone getting outside and having a drink outside and on a Friday afternoon with friends and family and dips, and it's just a lovely afternoon. So he's got lots of interests. He's a public speaker and he's an important member of Toastmasters at the university. Once again, he likes live music and events, which is sort of where the idea for All Newcastle came from. It's sort of tapping into one of Jacob's really big things that he really likes to do. So that was that's something that you sort of work with what Jacob really enjoys doing. He appreciates art. He loves playing cricket. He loves cricket. And often will host a game in one of the parks with backyard rules, so it's not that serious. He's a Melbourne lover. He loves going to Melbourne. So one of the things that's a bit disappointing about these times is that we didn't get to come to Melbourne. He didn't get to come to Melbourne with me to do this presentation. And generally, Jake, I would say Jake's an all-around good guy. Now, Jake needs a bit of support, a fair bit of support actually, during the day. And, I suppose what we've been really thinking about for most of his life is that Jake has, we have a vision for a typical life for Jacob, and that he drives that vision. So that's really about Jacob and who he is and what he likes doing. And it's just taking that a little bit further, I suppose, so that his life is quite typical of other people his age. It gives us direction. I think, as Therese said, it's like a compass. So it's like, is this going to, if we've got options, we can think, is this going to take us in the direction of our vision or further away from it? So that's always been really useful for us. As I said, Jake needs a bit of support throughout the day, and his support is quite complex. So training for support workers is very important for us and for family as well. So we spend quite a bit of time making sure everyone knows how to support Jacob well, and that his team and is prepared to be able to well prepared to support Jacob. So we choose self-management because we can make it work. It means that Jake's plan works for him. As I said, it's about Jacob having a good life included in the community. So this is sort of, I think, when we sort of get a bit lost with the NDIS, because it all comes down to that funding package and etc. But really, what is important about it is that it supports someone to have a good life. And if you look at the NDIS Act. It's there. It's, the principles and objectives are about people being included in the community. It's about people being, active citizens, having jobs, socializing in the community, having that regular life. And I think sometimes in the implementation we've lost that. So I just really like to keep that in focus. So self-management is a way, it gives us the flexibility to do that. The other thing about flexibility, the other thing about the NDI, about self-management, is that it gives you good bang for your buck. Now that's very important for us. Jacob does require support day and night. And he's, as I said, he's living in his own house with a housemate. He has paid support overnight, but we're not funded for overnight support. So we're able to make what the NDIS gives us work for Jake to get the support he needs. It's also worth mentioning that Jacob also has he also has time in the week where he spends with his housemate, where he spends with family, where he spends with friends, which isn't paid support. So we just really want to make sure that Jake's supported to live the way he wants to, and that he's got space in his life for freely given relationships. One of the other reasons I love self-management is because I'm able to delegate. And this is sort of sometimes a bit of a misunderstanding about self-management. It sounds like you've got to do everything yourself. When I realized that I could delegate some more tasks, I was really interested in self-managing and directly employing. We've got the freedom and flexibility, and I just don't want to ever get tied up in that red tape of just someone else deciding how we use our money. The next point I want to say is that with self-management, you have opportunities to cultivate community inclusion and freely given relationships. And this is a little bit contentious, and it's really, really based on individual circumstances. But if you've got a support need that can be met with a mainstream service or a community service, then that brings you into the heart of a community. That might be a very good use of your funding. The photo we've got here is sort of an example of that. We're heading off to Brisbane here. There's Hamish, the support worker, and my son Jacob and myself. And we've used funding to pay for Hamish's airfare. Jacob can't fly it takes two people to get Jacob on a plane. It's just a very tricky bit of maneuvering to get Jake on a plane safely. So Jake can't fly without a support person, and we think that the airfare is an ancillary cost to the to Jacob's support. So we've used his NDIS funding to pay for support worker airfares. There might be other things that other people might think about. So there's a young woman I know, and she's very good at she's very independent, but one of the things she really struggles with is washing her hair. So twice a week she goes down to the local hair salon and has her hair washed. Now I think it costs about $30 a go. If you compare that with an hour of support worker wages for someone to come into the shower with her, like, the outcomes are so much better. So I just really feel that looking for those opportunities to cultivate freely given relationships is a really good idea. It's a very good way of making your funds work for you, your plans work for you, your NDIS plan work for you. I would always recommend people use the NDIS self-management guide to help with your decision making, and there's a great tool on page 8 of that guide that will take you through some decision making tools to see what you can use your NDIS funding for. I'll explain how it works for us. So we directly employ Jacob's support workers, but I wanted to start at the very beginning with Jacob. And I just feel it's really important to keep it centered on Jacob. So the objective is that Jacob has support to be included in the community. That's what this is all about. Oops, I've gone the wrong way, sorry. So Jacob's got an NDIS plan. And the NDIS recognised me as Jacob's plan nominee. The NDIS is pretty complex, and Jake's really got no interest in being involved in the behind the scenes stuff. What he's interested in is his life being good and living the life he'd like to. So I'm his plan nominee, and I engage a bookkeeper to run payroll, to withhold the tax for support workers, look after the superannuation and insurances, and just some admin around record keeping and payment requests. I also engage a lifestyle coordinator or a team leader. So she leads the team. She supports Jacob. She does the rosters, the training. She orders supplies. She covers gaps. If someone's sick, they give her a call, which is lovely. A lot of it's liaising with me, but she does a lot of the running of the show. And then we've got a support team who support Jacob. And they all have different roles. We've got a job coach who supports Jake in his employment, a domestic goddess who's just as she sounds, a social connector, and personal care attendants. So I think the thing about what I'd really like to explain about this is all these additional supports are covered within the cost, well below are covered in the benchmark cost of NDIS, actually well below the benchmark cost. We're able to pay support workers above award wages. We're able to offer quite good conditions, working conditions, and we're able to do that with a budget far less than what 24-hour support would normally look like in a disability service. And the outcomes are terrific for Jacob.
Closing slide, graphic, text. This video was made possible with the support of the National Disability Agency grant, produced by Belonging Matters. Belonging Matters makes every effort to provide accurate and up-to-date material. However, information is subject to change and our material is for reference only. We recommend speaking to the NDIS, your LAC or planner for up-to-date or additional information. Logos, NDIS, Belonging Matters, talksatmatter.net.